Be me, Layla, 28, working in human resources. Consider myself pretty woke and progressive, always calling out inequality and injustice wherever I see it. Especially passionate about correcting misconceptions about gender dynamics in modern society. Constantly having to educate the men in my life about their privilege and how good they actually have it. Sitting in the break room last Tuesday when my coworker Jake starts whining again. I swear, online dating is rigged against guys like me. I've been on Bumble for 3 months and gotten maybe 2 matches total. Here we go again with the victim complex. Roll my eyes so hard they practically fall out of my head. Jake, come on. You're being dramatic. Women have it way harder in dating. We get harassed, objectified, and have to deal with creeps constantly. Jake looks genuinely frustrated. I'm not saying women don't have problems, Layla. I'm just saying it's really hard to even get a conversation started when nobody swipes right. Typical male behavior, always trying to one-up women's experiences. That's literally impossible. You're probably just aiming too high or your profile sucks. Average guys get plenty of matches. You just don't want to admit that maybe you're the problem. Jake's friend Marcus chimes in from across the table. Nah, Layla, Jake's right. I'm a decent-looking dude, good job, no weird baggage, and I'm lucky if I get 1 match a week, and half of those don't even respond. Now I'm getting annoyed at this pity party. You guys are seriously exaggerating. Women are way less superficial than one. We care about personality, conversation, emotional intelligence. The whole men get no matches thing is just manosphere propaganda. Jake shakes his head. Have you ever actually tried being a guy on these apps? It's brutal out there. I don't need to try it because I understand how these platforms work. Women are selecting for quality over quantity. You're probably just not presenting yourselves well. Spend the next 20 minutes explaining to them how their profiles probably have subtle red flags. Mention how they're probably swiping on women out of their league. Point out that they're probably not putting effort into their bios or photos. Basically give them a whole lecture on how they're approaching dating wrong. They both look skeptical, but eventually drop it. Walking back to my desk feeling satisfied that I've once again educated some men about reality. But something keeps bugging me about their confidence in their claims. Like they seemed genuinely convinced they were telling the truth. Which is impossible because everything I know about dating dynamics says they should be getting matches. Women are naturally less visual than men. We prioritize emotional connection and compatibility. Plus, there's way more men than women on dating apps, so basic supply and demand should work in their favor. Spend the rest of the week thinking about this conversation. Keep catching myself. Getting irritated when I remember how certain they seemed. Finally decide I need to prove my point once and for all. If I can show them concrete evidence that average men get plenty of matches, maybe they'll stop with the victim narrative. Friday night, sitting on my couch with a bottle of wine, I decide to conduct a little social experiment. Going to create a fake male profile and demonstrate how easy it actually is. Spend way too long thinking about what kind of guy to create. Need him to be genuinely average so they can't claim I cheated by making him too attractive. Settle on David, 5'9", works as an accountant, brown hair, normal build. Find some photos online of a guy who looks exactly like what you'd picture when someone says, average dude. Not ugly at all, just completely unremarkable. The kind of guy you'd see at Target and forget about immediately. Write a bio that's friendly, but not too try-hard. Love hiking on weekends, trying new restaurants, and binge-watching Netflix. Looking for someone to share adventures with, big or small. Dog dad to a golden retriever named Charlie. Basic but wholesome, no red flags. Shows he has hobbies and responsibilities. Set his age to 29, height to 5'9", job to accountant, education to bachelor's degree. Looking for women aged 25 to 32. Launch the profile on Bumble around 10 p.m. Friday night. Immediately start swiping right on women who seem like reasonable matches for David. Not going for Instagram models or obvious influencers. Focusing on normal-looking women with regular jobs and realistic expectations. Women who are cute but not stunning, basically David's equivalent. Swipe right on probably 50 profiles before going to bed. Wake up Saturday morning, excited to see how many matches David got overnight. Open the app, expecting to find a bunch of notifications. 0 matches. Literally zero. Must be a glitch, or maybe the algorithm needs time to kick in. Continue swiping throughout Saturday. Swipe right on probably another 100 profiles. Being very generous with my standards, including women I privately think are below David's league. By Saturday night, still 0 matches. Starting to feel a tiny bit uneasy, but tell myself it's just bad luck. Maybe weekend algorithms are different, or something. Spend Sunday swiping even more aggressively, lowering my standards even further, swiping right on literally anyone who doesn't have obvious deal breakers. Sunday night, still 0 matches. Okay, this is definitely weird, but there has to be an explanation. Maybe Bumble's algorithm is broken, or maybe I set something up wrong. Delete the profile and start over. Use different photos of the same type of guy, slightly different bio, but same basic energy. Accountant by day, adventure seeker by weekend, love craft beer, cooking, and exploring the city. Looking for someone genuine to laugh with. Launch profile number 2 on Monday night. Swipe right on 2. 100 plus women over the next 3 days. Wednesday night, 0 matches. Starting to feel genuinely confused and a little panicked. Maybe the issue is the platform. Create a profile on Hinge instead. Same concept, different photos, similar bio. I'm the guy who will remember your coffee order and text you random funny memes. Work in finance, love traveling and trying new food. Hoping to find my person. Spend the rest of the week swiping on Hinge. Must have swiped right on 500 plus women by now across 2 platforms. Friday afternoon, exactly 1 week after starting this experiment, 0 matches on either app. Sitting in my cubicle starting to feel sick to my stomach. This can't be right. There has to be something wrong with my approach or the apps themselves. Maybe I'm not being strategic enough. Spend my lunch break researching how to optimize male dating profiles. Find articles about photo composition, bio writing, timing of swipes. Realize I might need better photos. Spend the weekend finding new images. This time I pick a guy who's still average but maybe slightly better looking. Still 5'9", still normal build, but better lighting and more confident posture. Rewrite the bio to be more engaging. Adventurous accountant who can make you laugh and cook a mean pasta. Weekends you'll find me hiking trails or trying new breweries. Swipe right if you're ready for spontaneous road trips and terrible dad jokes. Launch profile number 3 on Sunday night. Feeling more confident about this version. Swipe right on women Monday through Friday. Being even more generous with my standards than before, including women who I honestly think are significantly less attractive than David. Friday evening, 1 match. Finally, I knew this would work. Click on the match, excited to see who swiped right. Profile has 1 photo that looks heavily filtered and no bio. Send a friendly opening message. Hey, how's your week going? Message never gets read. Check the profile again a few days later and it's gone. Obviously a fake account or bot. Back to 0 real matches. Spend week 3 trying different strategies. Swiping at different times of day, updating the bio again. Even trying different age ranges. Expand the search radius from 15 miles to 50 miles. Getting increasingly desperate and swiping right on basically everyone. End of week 3. 0 additional matches. The 1 bot match doesn't count. Sitting in my car after work Wednesday evening, having what I can only describe as an existential crisis. This experiment has completely destroyed everything I thought I knew about online dating. Jake and Marcus were telling the absolute truth. Average men really do get 0 matches. It's not exaggeration, it's not victim complex, it's just brutal mathematical reality. Remember how confidently I lectured them about their poor presentation and unrealistic standards? Realize I've been swiping right on women who would be considered completely reasonable matches for this guy. Many who I privately thought were less attractive than him. And still nothing. Not even pity likes or curiosity swipes. Complete and total invisibility. Start thinking about all the times I've dismissed men's dating complaints. All the eye rolls and lectures about privilege and victim mentality. Feeling genuinely nauseous as I realize how wrong I've been. Try to rationalize it for a few more days. Maybe this is just a regional thing. Maybe the apps are broken. Maybe I picked the wrong type of photos or something. But deep down, I know none of those explanations make sense. Decide to try one more platform just to be absolutely sure. Create a profile on Tinder with the same concept. Spend another week swiping right on hundreds of women. Same result. 0 matches. 4 weeks, 3 platforms, thousands of right swipes. Essentially 0 real matches. Delete all the profiles and sit in my apartment Friday night feeling completely defeated. Everything I thought I understood about gender dynamics in dating was wrong. Men weren't exaggerating or playing victim. They were describing their actual lived experience. And I was too arrogant and ideologically rigid to believe them. Think about Jake's frustrated expression when he tried to explain this to me. Remember how dismissive I was, how I immediately assumed he was the problem. Realize I've probably had this same conversation with dozens of men over the years. Always so confident in my superior understanding of how dating works. Always so quick to blame them for their struggles. Spend the weekend in a weird emotional spiral. Keep picking up my phone to text Jake an apology, then putting it back down. What would I even say? Sorry I didn't believe you were invisible to women. Monday morning back at work, see Jake in the break room again. He's eating lunch alone, scrolling through his phone, probably swiping on dating apps based on his expression. Want to approach him but feel too embarrassed. What kind of person spends a month conducting an experiment just to prove someone else's pain isn't real? Realize that's exactly the kind of person I am. Or was. Not sure anymore. Jake looks up and sees me staring. Hey Layla, how's it going? His tone is neutral. No lingering resentment from our argument. Which somehow makes me feel worse. It's fine. How's the dating app thing going? Immediately regret asking because I already know the answer. Same as always, shouting into the void. But hey, at least I'm consistent, right? He laughs, but there's no humor in it. Just resigned acceptance of his reality. Want to tell him I understand now. Want to admit I was wrong and apologize. But my pride won't let me. Instead, I just nod and mumble something about hoping things improve for him. Walk back to my desk feeling like absolute garbage. Spend the next few days paying attention to conversations around the office differently. Notice how often men mention dating struggles, and how quickly women dismiss them. See the same pattern I fell into everywhere. Women assuming men are exaggerating or approaching dating wrong. Men trying to explain their experience and being told they're being dramatic. Realize this isn't just about dating apps. It's about my entire approach to listening to other people's experiences, especially when those experiences challenge my worldview. Always so quick to assume I understand situations better than the people actually living them. Always so confident that my theoretical knowledge trumps their empirical evidence. Thursday evening, Marcus stops by my cubicle. Hey, did you hear Jake finally got a match? Perk up slightly. Really? That's great. Yeah, they've been messaging for 2 days. She seems normal. He's pretty excited. Feel genuinely happy for Jake, but also weirdly jealous. Jealous that he got something David never could despite being essentially the same person. Friday afternoon, see Jake looking frustrated again. What happened with your match? I ask, though I'm dreading the answer. She unmatched me yesterday. We were having a good conversation. I asked if she wanted to meet for coffee, and poof, gone. The casual way he says it makes it worse. Like this is just normal, expected behavior. Like getting excited about human connection is naive. That sucks, I'm sorry. It is what it is, par for the course. Want to scream that it's not normal, that he deserves better, but realize I have no standing to say that. I'm the person who told him this was all in his head. Spend the weekend thinking about David's profile, how wholesome and normal it was, how any of my female friends would probably describe him as a catch in theory. But in practice, he was completely invisible. Not just ignored, but literally invisible. Like he didn't exist. Start wondering how many Jakes and Marcuses and Davids are out there. Millions probably. Decent guys who work normal jobs and have normal hobbies and just want to connect with someone. Shouting into a void that never shouts back. Being told their struggles aren't real by people like me. People who've never experienced what they're going through. Monday morning, decide I need to do something. Not sure what, but the guilt is eating me alive. Approach Jake during lunch break. Hey, can I ask you something? That conversation we had a few weeks ago about dating apps. He looks wary. Yeah. Were you were you being completely honest about your experience? What do you mean? Like, you really get almost zero matches? It's really that bad? Jake studies my face for a moment. Layla, why are you asking? You seemed pretty convinced I was exaggerating. Feel my cheeks burning. I've been thinking about it. Maybe I was too quick to dismiss what you were saying. Oh, yeah, I was being completely honest. Most guys I know have similar experiences. It's pretty soul-crushing, actually. The word soul-crushing hits me like a punch to the stomach. That's exactly what it felt like watching David's profile accumulate zero matches day after day, like being slowly erased. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. Jake looks surprised. Thanks for saying that. That actually means a lot. Want to tell him about the experiment, but can't bring myself to admit what I did. Feels too invasive, too weird, like confessing I was spying on his experience. Instead, just nod. You were right and I was wrong. I should have listened. Walk away feeling slightly better, but still carrying this heavy secret. Spend the next few weeks observing dating discussions with completely different ears. Hear women confidently explaining how dating apps work for men. Want to interrupt every time and tell them they have no idea what they're talking about. But realize that would make me a hypocrite. I was exactly the same way just a month ago. Couple weeks later, overhear a conversation between two female coworkers. Men just need to put more effort into their profiles. They're probably using terrible photos. Exactly. And their bios are probably full of red flags. Women can sense desperation from a mile away. They're talking about their male friends who struggle with online dating. Same dismissive tone I used with Jake. Same confident assumptions based on zero actual experience. Want to interrupt and tell them about David, about his perfectly normal photos and wholesome bio, about the thousands of rejections from women who never even saw his profile. But I stay quiet, not ready to admit what I did, not ready to explain how wrong I was. A few days later, Jake mentions he's taking a break from dating apps. Just need to focus on other stuff for a while. The whole thing was starting to mess with my head. Remember the feeling of watching David's match count stay at zero day after day. Remember how it made me question everything I thought I knew about human nature. Can't imagine living with that feeling for months or years. That sounds healthy, I tell him. He shrugs. Maybe I'll try again in a few months, or maybe I'll just stick to meeting people in real life. That's probably better anyway. Yeah, except meeting women in real life is pretty much impossible now. Everyone's always got headphones in or looking at their phone, and if you approach someone at work or the gym or whatever, you're automatically a creep. Realize he's right about that too. Think about how I react when men try to start conversations with me in public. Immediate assumption that they're bothering me or being inappropriate, even when they're being perfectly polite. Starting to see a pattern in my own behavior and attitudes. Month and a half after deleting David's profiles, still think about the experiment constantly. Feel like I'm carrying this shameful secret that's changed everything about how I see the world. Wish I could go back and approach that first conversation with Jake differently. Wish I had listened instead of lecturing. Wish I had asked questions instead of making assumptions. But can't change the past. Can only try to be better going forward. Decide to start pushing back when I hear women dismissing men's dating struggles. Not by revealing my experiment, but just by suggesting maybe we should listen more. Meet resistance every time. Other women are as confident in their assumptions as I used to be. Realize this is a much bigger problem than just my personal ignorance. It's a whole cultural pattern of dismissing experiences that don't fit our preconceptions, especially when those experiences challenge our sense of how the world should work. A couple months later, Jake mentions he met someone at a friend's birthday party. She's really cool. We've been hanging out for a few weeks. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you. Genuinely mean it. Feel relieved that he found connection despite the brutal online landscape. Yeah, it's nice to actually have conversations and get to know someone gradually instead of being judged in 3 seconds. Think about poor David and his 0.00% match rate despite being exactly the kind of guy Jake is. Same personality, same values, same hobbies. Only difference was the medium. Jake found love through human connection. David was filtered out by an algorithm before anyone ever saw his personality. Realize the whole online dating system is fundamentally broken for average men. It's not about their presentation or their standards or their approach. It's about a medium that reduces humans to a split-second visual judgment, where the top 10% of men get 90% of the attention, and everyone else becomes invisible. Think about all the Davids out there, all the decent guys who are slowly losing hope, being told their struggles aren't real, being blamed for their own invisibility, while people like me lecture them about privilege. Still haven't told anyone about the experiment. Probably never will. But it changed everything about how I think about gender, dating, privilege, and listening to other people's experiences. Learn that sometimes the most important thing you can do is admit you don't understand something, and that ideological certainty can make you blind to reality, even when that reality is right in front of you. Jake seems happy with his new girlfriend. David's profiles are long deleted, but I'll never forget what it felt like to watch an average man become completely invisible, or how wrong I was about everything. Sometimes the best education is the kind that proves you don't know what you thought you knew, even when it's humbling, especially when it's humbling.